For many people, reaching a $500,000 net worth feels like a long-held goal finally becoming real. Life doesn't suddenly turn perfect, but it does get lighter. A lot of the small, constant worries that used to sit in the background start to fade. You're not reacting to every expense or surprise anymore, and that creates space to breathe. Nothing about your daily routine has to change for the shift to matter. You may still live in the same place and drive the same car, but the pressure eases. Decisions don't feel as urgent. You're no longer just trying to get through the month. You can start thinking a little further ahead, and that changes how life feels day to day. It's not about luxury or showing success. It's about stability. It's about waking up without the same knot in your stomach and realizing that one setback won't undo everything. For the first time, life feels less like survival and more like something you can actually move through at your own pace. Hi, and welcome to Practical Wisdom. Here, we're all about making life a little easier and a lot more interesting. I share educational stories and tips to help you thrive, not just survive. If that sounds like your kind of vibe, join the community by liking and subscribing. Most people don't realize this, but having $500,000 isn't about buying nicer things or upgrading your lifestyle. It's about no longer needing things to go right just to stay afloat. It's the first point where money stops feeling like something that can easily slip out of your hands. At that level, emergencies stop being emotional. A medical bill is still annoying, but it doesn't send you into panic mode. Losing a job feels stressful, but it no longer feels like standing at the edge of a cliff with nowhere to land. A bad month doesn't feel like personal failure anymore. It feels like a setback you can handle. What changes is that you finally have room for things to go wrong. Your finances can absorb problems instead of magnifying them. You don't have to scramble, borrow, or put everything on a credit card just to survive one unexpected expense. That alone removes a constant stress at the back of their mind that many people live with for years without realizing it. $500,000 doesn't make you free. You still work, you still plan, you still care about money, but it makes you durable. Harder to knock over, harder to corner, and once you feel that kind of stability, it changes how you think, how you talk to people, and how you move through the world knowing that one mistake won't undo everything you've built. You stop needing money immediately. Before hitting a $500,000 net worth, every paycheck feels important. You count the days until it hits your account. A bonus feels like relief, not a reward. Every unexpected expense feels heavier than it should because it throws off everything else. Money moves through your life quickly, and there's never much room to pause. After $500,000, that urgency starts to fade. You still care about money, but you're no longer desperate for it to show up right now. Time shifts to your side. You can afford to wait for better opportunities instead of jumping at the first thing that comes along. You can turn down work that doesn't pay fairly. You can walk away from bad deals without worrying about how you'll cover next month's bills. That ability to wait changes everything. It lets you make decisions based on what's right instead of what's urgent. And that's what separates people who build lasting wealth from those who just get a lucky break and spend the rest of their lives trying not to lose it. At this level, another strange thing happens that most people don't talk about. You become quietly, literally dangerous financially. Not in a flashy way. Not in a way anyone else can see. You're not showing it off, and you're not trying to prove anything. But the aura is there, whether anyone notices it or not. The reason is simple. When you have a net worth around $500,000, when invested properly, your money starts producing results that usually require years of working overtime to match. At a modest return, that portfolio can grow by tens of thousands of dollars in a single year without you doing anything differently. No overtime, no side hustle, no burnout. The money just shows up on its own. That growth acts like a second income, except it doesn't depend on your health, your energy, or your schedule. It keeps working if you're tired. It keeps working if you're sick. It keeps working if you take time off. And that's when things start to feel unsettling in a good way. You realize that your financial progress is no longer tied directly to how hard you're pushing yourself. This is the moment when the relationship flips. You're not just building wealth anymore. You've already done most of that work. Now the wealth is reinforcing you. It's giving you breathing room. It's giving you leverage. And once you understand that, you move differently. Not louder, not faster, just steadier, knowing that something solid is finally working in the background on your behalf. But here's the dangerous part nobody talks about. This is where people ruin it, because $500,000 is the most tempting number you will ever reach. It feels like you have made it. It feels like permission to relax. It feels like proof that you are special. And this is where most people start spending as if they have an infinite pool of money, not thinking of ways to protect it, or grow it. They upgrade cars, they upgrade houses, they upgrade lifestyles, but they do not upgrade their asset base. And slowly, silently, the compounding that should have made them wealthy is suffocated by new expenses and material purchases. You see, the rich get rich by keeping their lifestyle below their asset growth. This means that they don't live above their means, and they try and keep everything simple while focusing on growing their wealth. The poor, on the other hand, pretend to be rich by overspending, and before you know it, they're back in the hole where they started. The smartest people at this level usually do something that looks boring from the outside. They stop chasing big wins. They stop taking chances that could set them back years, and they stop trying to turn every dollar into more dollars as fast as possible. Instead, they focus on keeping what they've already built. They lean towards steady, diversified investments that produce reliable cash flow and don't depend on perfect timing. Nothing flashy, nothing exciting. Just systems that work reliably in the background year after year. The reason is simple, and it's a hard truth to accept. Once you reach around a $500,000 net worth, losing money hurts far more than gaining the same amount. A big drop doesn't just sting emotionally. It costs time, and it can erase years of progress that took discipline and sacrifice to build in the first place. At this stage, the goal isn't to double your money quickly. It's to stay in the game long enough for compounding to do what it's supposed to do. Growth still matters, but survival matters more. Protecting your progress becomes more important than chasing the upside. This is when the mindset shifts completely. Wealth stops being about speed and starts being about durability. Time becomes the real asset, and the smartest move is making sure nothing takes you out of the race before it has time to work. And this is where the biggest change happens. Your identity starts to shift, not overnight and not in a way anyone else can see, but in how you think about yourself and your place in the world. You stop seeing yourself only as someone who works for money. You still earn a living, but that's no longer the whole picture. You begin thinking of yourself as someone who owns money and is responsible for what it does next. Your attention slowly moves away from just earning more and toward building and managing assets that can stand on their own. The questions you ask yourself change. Instead of focusing only on how much you make in a month, you start paying attention to how your money is growing without your effort. You think less about spending and more about where each dollar is placed. Short-term wants lose some of their pull because long-term goals start to matter more. This is when work stops being the center of your financial life. It's still there, but it's no longer the only thing holding everything together. You're no longer just participating in the economy by trading your time for money. You're participating by owning pieces of it. And once that mindset change happens, it's hard to go back to seeing money the old way again. $500,000 isn't freedom. It won't suddenly remove responsibility or guarantee an easy life, but it is the doorway to it. It's the point where your future becomes difficult to derail as long as you don't work against yourself. At this level, the math starts to matter more than the effort. Time and compounding are finally on your side. Small, reasonable returns can carry your progress forward without you needing to constantly push. But that also makes this stage risky, not because the money disappears on its own, but because bad decisions can undo years of careful work. This is why restraint becomes more important than ambition. The goal isn't to prove anything or rush to the next milestone. It's to protect what you've built so it has time to grow. Spending it like a reward feels tempting, but treating it like a seed is what actually changes your life. The people who eventually turn $500,000 into several million aren't necessarily smarter or more talented. They're simply the ones who stayed patient, avoided unnecessary risks, and didn't interfere with compounding while it was doing its job. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And with that said, I'll see you tomorrow for the next video.